Welcome back, everyone. I'm your host, Lena Ines, and this is the Frame of Mind podcast, a podcast dedicated to those willing to reach their high potential selves, open to wisdom and knowledge, and all talks, self-improvement, mental health, and mindset growth. In this podcast, I aim to deliver messages that will help you improve your individual self and as well make you one day successful. With no further means, let's dive into this podcast episode. Just start off with the decisions of going to college. I've started analyzing this when I was just thinking about my courses for high school. Since this is my last year of high school, I decided to graduate early so I could be able to pursue my dream. And when I started thinking about that, I started to realize that my younger self would have never thought of this career. Like all of the things that I really wanted when I was younger, it was very much a sign of ambitious character, and everything that we do as young children develops us as individuals when we're older. And I truly believe that because when I was younger, I was very ambitious, I was very creative, I wanted to pursue 22 careers. Until this day, I'm thinking about it. What career do I really want? And I preach about being certain. And I really want to be a speaker. But there's so many careers that entice me sometimes. Like I really sometimes want to become a politician or the FBI agent I wanted to become. But with that in mind, it made me realize how such characters when I was younger really revealed who I was as growing up or having this desire when I was older. So even though I'm still very young, my younger self was very scared of this point in life. I literally didn't think I would make it this far in my life. And not to sound suicidal, but suicide is real. I didn't think I was going to make it this time frame. And thanks to God, I finally am here producing content for y'all, which is something that I really much appreciate and I love doing. But with that in mind, I had developed fear. And I really wanted to talk about growing up because I feel like that's a concept that we haven't really acknowledged. And what I'm saying here is we're growing up at a pace with our generation, with the innovations in the world, that sometimes we don't really stop to think about how far have I gone, or stop to think about your inner child. And so that's why today I really wanted to talk about growing up. Grow up as an individual and also growing up in life. We are growing up in life season and time, and sometimes we limit our youth with what our present has. What I'm saying here is that we depend so much on what we're going to do young. We are living in a world that seems so dystopian just because of the media. We're growing up with the media and we're seeing so much false identity, so much false outlooks out there that we sometimes want to pursue the things that are not really true to meaning or true to yourself. So sometimes you gotta realize where you're at right now and actually grow up in a stage where you're able to mature through wisdom and knowledge, not by your age. That's absurd. I don't want to hear somebody say, oh, I want to be a millionaire at such and such and such, when there's no action. You're using that age for an identity. Your age is not an identity. The wisdom and knowledge is what identifies your character, your morals, your person. It's through wisdom and knowledge. It's not by your age. Growing up is not just by age. Growing up is consciously accepting and shifting through what's going around. I realized this. Growing up, you shift your conscious. You're no longer thinking like a little kid. The more that you grow older, the more that you're getting exposed to knowledge and more things that you're aware of. I'm becoming aware of so many things around me that I have yet realized when I was younger. That's why when you're young, you have to make sure that you restrain the ways that you think. Because there's some things that you shouldn't be thinking. Yet because we're young, we think we have the authority to speak. You don't have the authority to speak if you have not experienced it. We're still young and some of us have not experienced the real world, but yet we're so quick to judge. Some opinions of yours are not really validated. And as much as you want to have the adults or the people around you that are older to actually acknowledge you as an individual, they're not gonna acknowledge you until you let your silence speak up. Your silence speaks louder than someone that is yelling, quarreling, and having foolish talk. Your silence shows how mature you are, shows the wisdom that you have. A lot of people tend to think that they are more acknowledgeable than others, or that they have more knowledge than somebody else, but that just comes from pride. And whenever we're growing up, we have this tendency of wanting to be known or having this popularity, when truly it shouldn't be like that. You should be able to stand in a place where you're silent and you let your silence be known, allowing room for people to give their opinions about you, not you giving them your opinions. Don't let your opinions crawl out of your mouth. We're growing up at a pace that sometimes we can't even keep up. Sometimes you gotta slow down because you have this desire of acquainting or wanting more, when truly you should take a stop and try to acquaint so much. The issue here for our youth is that we're not walking according to our calling. And so whenever we keep having to keep up with the pace of our mental age, then sometimes we can't really keep up with it because we're not living in a manner worthy of it. Growing up, nobody really cares about what you're doing. Literally nobody cares. It's obvious that nobody freaking cares. But you're still enticed to that idea because you want to seek that popularity, that love. And that's not how it is. In life, you're not going to have the popularity stand within you for most part because you literally don't matter to people. People are not going to remember me like I have made an impact in them. They're not. Everything in our world is vanity. And if you don't know what vanity is, I'll just pull up the thing. I know it as a vocabulary word. I just don't know how to explain it. But everything in the world is vanity. So don't rely on your youth for your future. We have many more years to come. You're limiting your youth because you want something bigger now. There's more time. Be patient. Be patient with your time. Your time is quality, and cherish your moments that you're young. I started realizing this because I'm about to graduate high school. And then I want to pursue being a speaker, and I'm going to be freaking 17 when I want to go to college. And I started thinking about that. Why didn't I give myself time to think? Why wasn't I patient? Why didn't I cherish these moments? Now I have to crash everything together just so I can be able to have my own future. And not just that, the unrealisticness that I have created in my mind before has driving me a little bit insane. Back then, not now, but has drove me a little bit insane. But now that I am here standing, it's like now it's made, and now I'm actually owing up to it, and now I'm actually excited for it. But don't rush your time. Don't rush into it. Don't rely your youth on what the future can hold as well, because we have many more years to come, but yet we want things now. Allow the time to come. Some things you don't deserve having them right now because of your age, or not even because of your age. That's a stigma. Our age is a stigma. You're literally putting your age as something to be so prideful. Oh, I'm 16 and I'm doing this. Good for you. Props for you. Literally props for me too. There's props for everybody. But sometimes you gotta realize someone's gonna take that place. And all of that is just vanity. Your age is not to question. Your actions are to answer. Your actions sometimes reveal who you are as an individual. And some of y'all have actions that are very much reliant to youthful passions. And this goes back to what I'm saying, that I kind of don't fit into this generation, because a lot of our generation relies on so much of these TikTok trends or these Instagram reels or whatever it is that the media does to engage you into what they're trying to like produce. I sometimes don't get it. I literally don't get the lingo of social media sometimes. I'm like, what the heck are y'all saying? I don't get it. I literally don't get it. But it's because of the pace that you're going at very much determines how you are mentally. And some actions, I could tell through somebody that you're very much immature. And even though your age is, even though you could possibly be older than me, or you can probably meet someone that's older than you and they still act like little kids, then don't judge. Don't judge. If you know that they are not in the same level as you, don't judge. You don't know what type of wounds that they have from their inner child that are not allowing them to grow into the best individual that they can be. You don't know. I don't know about you. I don't know about others. So don't judge somebody because of their maturity level. Don't do it. You don't know what that person has wounded in themselves. That's why every single time I'm in a room of people that are not like-minded, I just think about their maturity level and where it stands. And where they stand, I start thinking about like their trauma. Like, what type of trauma do they have that they can't really fulfill the next mental stage in their life? I always think about that, because growing is not just, as I mentioned, age, but growing is also acknowledging and having that conscious shift. For me, I always think about what is the next step for them to consciously shift into the new perspective or into a new life. I always think about that. And that's why is for you, don't judge somebody that does not know the knowledge or the wisdom needed to grow. That was just a little rant. I don't know what happened there. It just occurred there. I try to be organized with my podcast episodes because I have had people literally talk about how my topics are random, and so I try to like structure them, but that was just a little rant that came up in my head. But let me just go down on what I wrote about growing up, and then the next chapter is maturing, and then the last chapter is inner child. Okay, so I wrote this, which makes me sound like a little author, but let me read it to y'all. We take a course in life of maturing through our circumstances. Most of us are stuck in a place unable for mental, physical, and spiritual growth. Growing up is just not an age. Growing up is shifting your conscious and understanding. We tend to be blindsided on our growth based on factors of influence, lack of empathy, and knowledge. The greatest source of growing up and maturing is wisdom and knowledge. You have to protect the wisdom given to you. You have to be on sight on the path that's given to you. Sometimes we take a direction which makes us mentally deprived of our knowledge that's applicable. Through your life, you're continuously shifting your conscious. And that's what growing up in general is. Being fully aware. Growing up is just being fully aware. Most of us are being fully aware now. Some people are being fully aware when they're older. But for us to be able to acknowledge our growth, we have to also take a stop, as I mentioned in the beginning, to kind of heal the part that's wounded in our inner child, which of course I'm going to go over very soon. Growing up is allowing growth to happen and not being stuck in a place in which this is so crazy how everything is just so based and solely on our inner child that we have wounded or is wounded. I read this on Google, a very great source if you want to look for information. And this is very much true. Growing up is to grow toward or arrive at full stature or physical or mental maturity. That's the best definition I can give you for growing up. Maturity. Now in psychology, we've learned about maturing and about the stages in life. And I very much agree on the stages of life, because sometimes we kind of skip some stages in our life. There's 8 stages in life. I don't know what's noted. I just know, wait, I'll just put it here. We have the 8 stages in life, and those stages, some of us kind of go through them quicker than others. And with this in mind, you gotta realize that that's kind of not normal, because that just means that we're consciously shifting rapidly. And whenever you start growing up really rapidly, it's kind of dangerous for you to know things at a young age. For an example, I have my sister. She's younger. She understood a lot of things when she was young, and she understood what happened between my mom and dad, and I had to understand things when I was a little bit more older. And you know what parents say? They're like, you're gonna understand when you're older. And I didn't kind of understand, but my sister understood it. And I was older than her. And my parents finally told me when I was old enough. But my sisters knew, and they're younger than me. So, with that in mind, they grew up faster, and I grew up a little bit slower. I started to realize everything around me very late. Because at the same time, I was purer than my sisters at that time. Mentally, I was purer than my sisters. When you have a pure mind, I feel like you allow room for more energy to come in. I feel like when you're pure, you have a right mental state for you, because you don't really know much about yourself or your surroundings, but yet you are aware of other things that are not just dirty or from the world. Now, I was really pure. I didn't understand a lot of things, okay? Like, even when I was in elementary, all these girls would know so much about themselves. Like, literally, they would talk about well, maybe it's because I was uneducated. That's a different thing, being uneducated. But maturing, it's like growing up consciously. Let's talk about, like, consciously. I didn't know much about it. I was like, what is that? What is that? What is that? You know, when you're younger, you were really not fully aware of that state. You're really not fully aware what's going on. So I didn't know what was going on, but other girls already knew what was going on. I was like, how do y'all know? Like, and they're like, oh, because my parents taught me. But as I mentioned, that's being uneducated. But me in the stage in life, I was still confused. I was like, what? What's going on? At this stage in my life, I think this is the fourth stage. I was like in the stage of like wanting approval of others. Like, I wanted to be part of a team. And then these kids are already thinking about boyfriends and girlfriends. Don't judge somebody that's not in the right stage as you just because your age align. No, it's in a pace that we can't keep up. Life goes in a pace that we don't know of. We don't know if our life is going to end when we're young, when we're older, but we don't know what is going to stop us from growing, and we don't know what is going to make us want to grow more. Now, that's why self-improvement protocols have been going around so much, because the conscious shift in being stuck in that place is because of your inner child. It's because of the traumas that are rooted within you. This all comes along with trauma. Trauma stops your growth. Your trauma stops your ability to grow into your best potential self. And so think about it. If trauma is stopping you from fulfilling the best version of you, then it's probably time to take a stop and reach out for help. A lot of us don't know what maturing is, and we think we do, but we truly don't. I read this and I absolutely love it. And this is what makes me think all the time that although you can have respect for somebody that's older, it's the wisdom and knowledge that separates them from the world. It's the wisdom and knowledge that separates them from their identity. Wisdom is the key aspect of maturity. Wisdom grows when we learn to apply our knowledge to everyday choices and situations. When you apply wisdom into your life, you're literally growing the plant that is planted in your heart. You're growing the plant that is rooted already. Wisdom is advice or just words of encouragement or something that's real upon you that just flourishes or nourishes your bones, your soul. And when you apply the wisdom, people start looking at you as a leader. People start looking at you as someone with power. And not just power like political. I'm talking about power as respect. They start seeing you with authority because you have applied wisdom in your life. You can be the smartest person out there, but without wisdom, you are nothing. You need wisdom to grow, to mature, and allow yourself to flourish. you can't let yourself be deprived in knowledge and wisdom because you have this intelligence. Anyone here can build the intelligence. Anyone here can have the intelligence. And we have certain gifts for certain intelligence. But without wisdom, you are very much stuck at this place. Wisdom is what waters you. Wisdom is what helps you grow. Without that wisdom or knowledge, it's not applicable in your life to grow. And that's very much neglection. When you have avoided advice from elders, when you have avoided signs or miracles from God, you have to allow yourself to flourish through the wisdom and knowledge that is given to you. And not just any wisdom and knowledge out there in the world, but godly wisdom and knowledge. Most of us are blinded by wisdom and knowledge that is from the world. Wisdom and knowledge from the world is not helping us grow, but is in fact making us drill a hole into depression, into anxiety, into these curses in our world. This is where discernment comes in place. Discerning what's good, what's right. When you apply advice from others, even though you don't want to listen to them, even though you don't want to hear what's going on, apply it in your life. And I started realizing that if I want to grow as an individual, even though I don't want to listen, even though I don't want to hear all this crap, always listen. Because a mature person listens. A mature person isn't the alternative of what the world has normalized. Our world has normalized people that just give out their opinion. Our generation has normalized people to yell at their parents, to speak on their opinions. That's the generation that has been normalized. To not greet older people, to just let them be like that. No, maturity comes from applying wisdom and knowledge, applying advice. Even though it's not good advice, wisdom and knowledge is what helps you flourish yourself into becoming someone better than you. You gotta allow yourself to listen. Listen. Don't talk. Listen. There's another one that I've read, and it says here, we often think of growing into maturity as we get older and gain more knowledge, but growing mature in wisdom transcends age. When you're applying that wisdom and you're actually applying that in your life, it transcends age, meaning that your age or mentally, it transcends. That's the difference between the pace that you can't keep up and a pace that is meant for you. Because the more that you pile this wisdom and knowledge, the more that you are showing or projecting a person of higher value and someone with more understanding. When you're growing into this person with more understanding, you help others out. You encourage people out. We get to show a level of maturity that no other people can have. I feel like this all comes from God. Being able to mature as a person of great value comes from God. When you apply wisdom and knowledge from God, or the advice that people give around you, it helps you flourish yourself. It helps you bloom into the best version of you. I really wanted to create a topic about when flowers bloom, basically whenever we come out of this deep-rooted place and then we just grow. Really wanted to talk about that. But I feel like right now it's our maturity level in our generation that has stopped us from fulfilling our full potential. It's not the maturity. It's the wisdom and knowledge that we have not applied. We have not applied the right advice into our life because we think that we are right. You want to become a mature person? Then allow growth to happen. You're not allowing growth to happen because you want what you want. In life, you don't get what you want. In life, you get what you need. So for you to be able to grow into or step into this mature self, you need to allow yourself to get what you need to be able to grow. You can't be attached to your old self that you can't step into the new. You can't be obsessed with your past if you want something greater. We all are going to have that situation that's going to help us mature. We're all going to have that situation in which is going to help us mature in knowledge. For an example, for some people, they can talk about relationships while I can't. I don't know or have that much knowledge about relationships because I haven't gotten into that many relationships. I can't really talk about marriage because I don't have that. But when you listen to somebody, you gain the respect, and that shows the quality of a mature person in Christ as well. Being able to listen. I feel like that's the biggest quality of maturity. And it's by allowing yourself to listen to others and having that ability to accept knowledge and wisdom. I have that fear that you won't be able to step into your full potential self because you don't want to be open to it. And that's why I absolutely love my followers, the people that are really wanting to get closer to God, or the people that are really wanting to step into their future potential self. Because this is all what God wants from us, to mature into becoming these individuals that would help guide people into Him, into their calling. I want to have people step into their calling. I want people to step into entrepreneurship. I want people to step into a quality that is connected to their core values. Being mature it's not just your age. This whole topic is not just about your age. It's about it's about your mental, your internal self. And this is where we go with our inner child. Your inner child is probably wounded if you're not allowing growth to happen. And this is where I do suggest that you go to therapy, because this is something that is so hard to heal from. You know, God healed me. God healed my inner child, my wounded inner child, thanks to Him. But I was only able to do that with self-awareness and being able to just be conscious about my surroundings. Now, you, on the other hand, could probably be in a state of where your inner child is actually wounded, but yet you don't have access to help. So I'll provide some resources on my newsletter and on the link below for therapies. Your inner child, if you don't know, is yourself, your younger self within you. You know, we all have an inner child. We all have experienced being children before. And even when we grow up, we're always going to have the inner child, and then we're going to have the inner teenager, and then we're going to have the inner, all of these ages in life when we continue to grow and grow and grow. Now, with this inner child that you have, you are responsible to taking care of them. You have to take care of your inner child because they had such dreams, they had such qualities that they wanted you to pursue when you get older. And now that you're older, are you taking account on the core values that your younger self has taken? No. Some of us haven't and some of us have. And throughout life, we change. Of course, we change. But our inner child is what brings us the most joy. Our inner child is what brought us into living in the life that we were blinded to. But now that we're aware, sometimes it's like, oh, I wish I could go when I was younger. But growing up is the saddest part. And I got this picture of my younger self and I, just so I could be able to just talk about my inner child, literally my inner child. And this is the exercise that I definitely recommend you do. Kendall Jenner does it. It's having like a younger picture of you in the mirror, and then you just talk to it nicely and just taking care of it, basically. But this is me when I was younger, okay? Let me show y'all. I was cute. Focus. That was me. And this picture was me on my birthday, and I absolutely love this dress. It was gonna be my quince dress, something white, but I guess I'll just go white for my birthday. No, for my wedding. Anyways, if I were to explain myself when I was younger, I would say she was very much ambitious. She was crazy. This girl was crazy. Like, I can't believe the things that she has done in her childhood. She's crazy. What else? She feared God. Like, this young girl knew who God was. She always dreamed about being famous. She always thought about being famous. And she also had like 22 careers. Like, she literally dreamed about becoming a ballerina, a dancer, everything, a teacher. And then just look at me now. Having this pursuit of becoming a motivational speaker. This younger self, I don't know if she would have thought that, but you go, girl. That's amazing. what I've been doing. But your inner child is basically you, and you have to take care of it. And so I really want you, in this past couple of weeks or days that you have, to take accountability or just reflect back on time. Be like, hey, I don't want you to look back in your past. I want you to look back on your younger self. I want you to think about, how am I doing? Like, talk to your inner child. Literally look at your younger self and be like, so how was your day? How is your life? How is mom and dad doing? Where's your grandma? Where's your grandpa? Answer these little questions and then go ahead with the bigger questions, like, how are you doing now? Are you feeling okay? And then you're going to start feeling or realizing that you never really expected what you really thought your younger self was going to think about. You know, I always tell my sister this when I always want to exercise with her with an activity. And I tell her, think about your younger self. If you think about hurting yourself, you're also hurting the little girl inside of you. Not just the little girl inside of you, but the person that you ought to be. You're hurting that person because of your emotions now, because of the temptation you have now. That's what I said in the beginning. Don't let your youth be limited by what you have now, but let your youth be the determination of your future. Don't allow yourself to get in a state on where you can't move in a place where you can't go ahead. Because that's how the enemy blinds you. The enemy blinds you with trauma and makes you stay there. No, you got to be able to break through those strongholds that are holding you from fulfilling the potential that you have. You have to be able to allow God to release you from the things that are not helping you grow. You're only stuck in questioning because you don't allow room for growth. So stop complaining and start growing. Grow up. Most of y'all are so immature in the head that you think that you're wiser than anybody. Nobody's wiser than anybody. So stop trying to act like your life is worse than others. That's just the victim mindset. We need to go back in time and realize, who are we hurting? This person, your inner child, doesn't act freaking victim. Hopefully not. But if you're going to start acting victim over the situation that your old self has gone through, don't complain about your life to others again. Literally don't. And I don't mean to literally get mad or get rattled up, but it's just so crazy how people that think that they're wiser than others are the ones that complain about their life. That victim mindset is an instant gratification and a boost of dopamine that you're only seeking. Nobody's seeking that for you. What a lot of people are going to be seeking for you is that you need Jesus and you need God. That's all the people around you would possibly say. I don't judge the people that have wounded inner childs, because you don't know their story. I don't know somebody's story. It's probably what they're acting right now is an act for help. It's a cry for help. But what gets me riled up is those same people are the ones to act a victim upon their situation and still complain about it. And not just complain, but they also are the ones that think that they're wiser than the people around them. Your trauma isn't the wisdom. Is overcoming the trauma that is provided as wisdom. That situation was given to you because God knew that you can handle it. Your trauma is not the answer to your mindset. Your trauma could be the key to somebody else's freedom. But you're allowing your trauma to eat you up into cultivating a mindset of despair and a victim mindset. We don't want to cultivate a victim mindset because of our trauma, but we want to overcome the trauma with victory and create and cultivate a mindset of freedom and strength. We don't want to cultivate a weak mindset. We want to cultivate a better mindset to overcome any challenges. That's why that situation was given to us, so we can cultivate a mindset to overcome any challenge. Last but not least, make your younger self happy. Think about your younger self again and analyze those core values that your younger self has put for you. Your younger self has probably given you standards that you probably need to go on and accept. Or sometimes you also have to tell your inner child that it's not like that no more, that it's different. And this is not just to sound crazy, but this is just for you to realize that there's so much more in life than just your future, but also what's in hand from your younger self. Because we really much don't see our future and we don't see our past. And our past is what literally developed us now. Your family issues develops you as a person. What you experience in your childhood literally develops you as a person as well. That's why it's so important for you to analyze that yourself before a therapist does. Because you are able to stop something before it gets major. I try to go along the lines of trying to provide best advice for y'all and the best content that I can without getting raveled up. I had my notes, but I kind of went everywhere. Literally what my mind thought of. Hopefully when I listen to this, it doesn't sound bad. It doesn't sound crooked. But anyways, guys, thank you for listening to this week's podcast episode. I can't wait to post more podcast episodes about mental health, mindset, and motivation. I feel like this podcast episode was mostly on mental health, in which prior to other episodes, I have created motivational and self-improvement videos. Before you go, make sure that you give a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. That will help me out a lot if you do so. Anyways, guys, follow my social medias right here so you can be able to keep up with the latest content on my socials. Thank you for listening. Bye, guys.